Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Don Berlyn joining us here again live today, our hypnotherapist from Flagstaff Hypnotherapy. Excited to have him back with us to talk about how he can help you use the power of your mind to achieve all of your goals. Welcome back, Don. What's new and exciting in your world?
Well, actually, I've been traveling a lot. I think you
I
might have
remember it
also.
was your mom's birthday, right? That was like a month ago.
Well, yeah, we've been celebrating her birthday for over a month now. And so we're back in Massachusetts, where she's from.
Oh
Spent some
my
time there.
goodness. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, it's a month-long travels. What have you been doing?
Well, not the entire month, but in the end of June, I brought my mom to Maui for almost a
Yep.
week. And then we celebrated a reunion here in Flagstaff. And then my mom is originally from Salem, Massachusetts. So we went back there and spent probably about 10 days and had a family reunion and went to the amusement park where she and my dad had their first date. So yeah, it's an amazing trip. I got home 4 a.m. last night, so I'm a little
Oh
sleep
my goodness.
deprived.
And thank you for still being here on time for your show. I would have been like, I have to postpone. I'm too tired. Oh, good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. Well, I'm glad you're having a great summer and enjoying life. And when it comes to the hypnotherapy, I know we've gotten to know each other over the course of the past few months here, and you're just a nice, sweet person who is so
Oh, thank you.
helpful and informative, has taught me a lot about the benefits of, what this can do for you. And for those listening today, I'm sure you'll feel the same once you get to know our friend Don. And for the record, tell us the website.
Okay, it is my website, flagstaffhypnotherapy.com.
Yep.
And if you get anywhere close to that, it should show up.
Perfect. Great. And what did you want to talk about for today? What did you have in mind?
Well, a couple things really. We're going to talk a little bit about the mind, how it works, and a recent experience I had. So we'll be going back to the beginning for
Oh,
that one. And
sure.
then if we have time, maybe we'll do a technique that I use with people to help them feel empowered.
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
Help you be a superhero. So way back in maybe the first session, I talked about how the mind works, how your conscious mind is the part that thinks and logically and it's sequential. It can only do one thing at a time. It can actually work with about maybe at the most 12 bits of information per second, whereas the
Okay.
subconscious works in the millions, like 12 million or so bits of information by second per second,
Okay.
because it is doing everything in your body, everything that runs, your lungs, your heart, all the different hormones, all the senses, everything, all the different nerves involved in moving, all your memories, your emotions, your posture, all that is running through your subconscious. So it can multitask to the max. So, and also has your programs, which can include things like driving. So, I just recently had this
Interesting.
experience in Massachusetts, and I don't know if anyone's had the experience of driving in some of the older cities back there. Uh, their road systems were developed back when people had ox carts and cattle, and they're usually built around the common. There are kind of how would you call it? Like a diagonals everywhere. They follow rivers. They run into each other. So, for instance, you might be on a road that's maybe called Washington, and then you cross a border that you can't even see, and now it's called something like Essex. And then you go somewhere further, and it might be called Seaside. And the roads are curving every which way. So you constantly have to be paying attention to where you are. The other thing is there's roads that feed into other roads at any kind of angle. And so, and people drive a little differently back there. It's not so much fast as it is just driving your car in and just knowing that someone's not going to hit you. And that's probably true most of the time. So my mind, I was the only driver, was working way over time. And I was using my conscious mind the entire time because I was in an unfamiliar place. So I couldn't rely on any kind of programs other than how to drive. So constantly looking for uh, threats in a sense, looking for where to go all the time, trying to listen to my sister, who was as helpful as she could be navigating. So I was so exhausted because I would drive sometimes for hours in this environment that I'm not used to, and also with an unfamiliar vehicle. So using my conscious mind for that much was absolutely fatiguing. And sure, many people have had that experience where you go to a new environment and you have to perform, and you're performing for an extended period of time. And so that was a real example to me of how your conscious mind works and how you can overwork it. So, so at the end of each day, I had to try and calm myself down because I was way over in the sympathetic mode. In other words, I was dealing
Yeah.
with fight or flight. So I was able to focus on some of the techniques like breathing or staring in a certain place or listening to something and just getting myself chilled out. So that's kind of a practical review of what we first talked about and how your conscious mind is good for what it's good for, but it can be overwhelmed, whereas your subconscious just rolls. Um, so if you're from back east or you're living back east, so how is it
I'm
back there?
I'm from born and raised on Long Island. So I know everyone says New York. Oh, you must be from New York City, the crazy city. I did spend 20 something years working in the crazy city.
Uh-huh.
But no, I love at least where I am. I mean, it's an hour outside of the city without traffic. So it's about 2.5 hours away from the city, right? It's just
Okay.
definitely less chaotic in the suburbs, I think. I couldn't, I don't know how people could raise a child in the city, but now I'm digressing. What was I saying?
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, that's it, really. So you're in a familiar place, and you can rely on your programs, and uh, so you can kind of chill out while you're driving.
Yes, I love driving, but again, alone. I'm always with my kids. I
Uh-huh.
really wish I can get away from them. I don't mean that to be mad, but I need it for my sanity, and I'm always with them. So the best is when I get to drive by myself to turn on some country music, which is a rarity. But even if it's going to the local Costco or the gas station,
Uh-huh.
I truly enjoy driving.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
so it's
like
actually,
it
yeah.
puts me in the state of calm, and I'm
Mhm.
not a calm person, Don.
So, and that all that happens because you don't have to be focused so hard. You can just rely on your subconscious to
That's
just kind
crazy
of,
to know that I just know the way. How do you like it's amazing that the
yeah,
body does this. It's like and then sometimes how did I even get here? I listen to a good
yeah,
song and then I'm like, wait, I'm here already? Like that's
uh-huh,
scary. That's scary, but it's
yeah,
right because we're all driving that way. Other people not realizing either, and then we have accidents.
yeah.
But yeah,
But here's the good thing about that is our subconscious is working all those millions of impulses it can work with in a
yeah,
second. So its main job is to keep you alive. So if you're buzzing along and all of a sudden there's some flashing lights or you see something coming in from the side, instantly your subconscious talks to your conscious mind and your conscious mind pops out of that song you're listening to and focuses on whatever the threat is. And sometimes because your reactions are built in, your programs are built into your subconscious, you've reacted before you even realize what you did. Like you slammed on the brakes before you were even consciously aware that there was a threat. Have you ever noticed that?
so true.
Yeah. So that's how you can drive from point A to point B as long as you're very familiar with point A to point B and feel just totally calm about it. You might enjoy it. Your conscious mind might be kind of listening to a song. Maybe you're thinking about something else coming up the next day.
Yeah.
Maybe think about what you have to buy at Costco. And you get there and you can't even remember, like you said, how did I get here? But believe me, if there was a detour, instantly you would be kicked into conscious mind. You'd be thinking about where am I going? How am I going to get there? What turns might I have to make in this unfamiliar territory? So it'd be a much more tiring drive, even though you went the exact same number of miles. So that's how your conscious mind versus your subconscious works when you're driving. So, and then when you're driving the kids, I don't know your kids, but they may be asking you questions. They may be talking about what they want to do. They may, whatever, whatever.
Fighting.
Yeah. And then your conscious mind is listening to all that because you have to process it. Or
And
you can
I
just tell
can't
them, don't make me stop this car.
I all the time. And I get angry. Aggression. Yes, it's
Yeah.
true. I can't, and now as I'm older, now at 46, I can't do it. I get
Uh-huh.
so angry and frustrated. I can't have distractions. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
well, they are distractions. How and I wish they would be better listeners, but as children, this is what they do. But I feel like maybe it's my brain that's starting to go and can't handle all this.
Uh-huh.
When I was younger, I could handle people in the car laughing, screaming, whatever. But now I'm older, I just can't. Or maybe because it's just my kids. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
more of a frustrating thing to a parent. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. My kids are well past. having to deal with that, but now I now have grandkids around. So, and you're a youngster, believe me. So, but it's so interesting how just existing in the world, how what we do either relies on more of the parasympathetic realm or the subconscious. And so you can just be in that calm place. And it's almost like everything takes care of itself. But then there's the other world where you have to be mainly in your conscious mind. Your subconscious works the whole time. So you're still driving. If you have a stick shift, you still know how to do that. You know how the car works. So you're not thinking about that anymore. You're not even thinking probably about how to get to A to B,
Yeah.
and you're safe driving unless you're turn your head or too distracted with your conscious mind. So there might be some practical things, and maybe we could talk about that off the air, but dealing with your kids, um, it's just some suggestions, not necessarily hypnotherapy. Anyway, there's ways to work with that. So it's interesting this week. I really had a real life experience. So when I come back to Flagstaff, oh, here's the other thing, like Logan Airport in Boston. Of course, this was built on a landfill decades ago. There
Really?
wasn't, yeah, Boston's a small place. And so they only had so much land and everything was developed before there was airplanes. So then when they wanted an airport close to the town, they had to use what they've got. Like in San Francisco, a lot of stuff is built on landfill also.
Wow.
So yeah, so here's this place. It's got somehow they squeeze in, I think, eight or what, five different terminals all the way up to E. And it's insane just trying. And then the car rental place is absolutely insane. It took me close to half an hour to get from the car rental place to get back to the terminal we were in to pick up my rest of our group. Uh, and just the traffic and being misdirected and, ending up at Terminal C instead of Terminal B, my conscious mind, just that thing at the first day, I was already exhausted and we hadn't even got out of the airport. Um, but like in Phoenix, plenty of land, and they have just a couple terminals. They're massive, but there's just a couple.
Okay.
And it's so easy to get around. You don't even have to, there's a couple questions in your mind you have to deal with, but other than that, it's so easy to get around.
Okay.
And the airport's much larger as far as square, acres, but and then driving from Phoenix to Flagstaff, and of course this was, about midnight, but most of it's on freeways. And there's like in our freeways out here anyway, a true freeway, there's only an exit at the most every mile. Whereas in Massachusetts, it could be 200, only 200 yards apart. So, so anyway, so I'm able to buzz up here, and the speed limit is, 75 maybe, but everyone out here in the West just drives much faster. But our roads are straighter, or even if you're going up the side of a mountain, you only have the two lanes to deal with. And so you can just be totally, and if you're familiar with that, like I am, so many hundreds of times I've done the trip, I don't have to think much.
Yeah.
So I can just do it and cover, 140 miles at, sometimes 80 plus, and actually feel more calm than I can
Amazing.
in Boston going not even 2 miles, but spending, maybe an hour to do that. So it's really interesting how the conscious mind and subconscious mind can work.
Ooh.
Now, when we get snow up here, when they're doing construction, then of course I have to focus on the conscious mind, and I
Again, you
can.
taught me that. I didn't realize how high of an elevation you are. By the way, what is the weather like there right now?
I think we're in the 70s, and it's a little bit cloudy, and the humidity is probably about 20.
Okay.
So it's
Interesting.
pretty nice. And
Ah,
in Phoenix right now, it's probably 110 or so,
gosh.
and humidity is probably, pretty low also. But yeah, it's when people think of Arizona, they think of Phoenix. And so
It's so true. Oh my
yeah, but
goodness.
we're way up here
What?
at 7,200 feet.
Wow. When can you get your first snowfall?
Uh, Sometimes it's kind of funny around Halloween. That's like the very earliest. And
Amazing.
then we don't often have a white Christmas, but we get most of our snow in March and February. And so this year, actually, our snow, we have a ski resort, I guess you call it. It was actually open until the first weekend in June. So yeah, so
Awesome.
not what people think about when they think about Flagstaff or they
Oh,
think about Arizona. Yeah.
so cool. All right.
Yes. So yeah, literally cool. But so does that driving discussion, does that kind of ring a bell?
It sure does. It makes me, I just want to get in the car by myself again soon, is what you're making me think of. I will
Yeah.
look, I did an 8 hour trip last weekend. I drove my kids to Vermont and I'm on Long Island, right? And then all of a sudden the ferry, which would have saved us 2 hours, got canceled. It was,
Oh,
part of divine intervention, I guess. It just happens, right? So that's part of it. Ironically, the ferry before that got into an accident. That's why it was canceled. So I didn't know that part. But so we drove, and to drive that far with your kids was so stressful. Then to go there just for a day and a half to come back. And then I took away the iPads, and then they fell asleep for like an hour and a half, and it was the best ride ever. I got to think, be, feel. And again, I don't know if it's my conscious, my subconscious, but I just know I was relaxed.
wow. And so you must have driven around Boston.
No, through it. Well, not through Massachusetts. I don't even know. Yeah, but not. I don't know if I was in Boston, but there was all Massachusetts signs.
Oh yeah, but you weren't going like crazy driving through a city, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
So
no, no,
I'm
no.
guessing you were routed, well
I was
west of
routed
that.
on the highways. Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, the amount of stimulation you get it is relative to how much your conscious mind has to work.
Yep. So true.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
and some stimulation's okay, like music, because it can actually soothe you, you
It's
know.
so it does, and it brings you back to a place and time. I
Mhm.
feel, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I can go back to when I was 20 years old just by listening to it.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things there, actually, this discussion we just had, is people who are who have dementia or Alzheimer's, they may have a hard time vocalizing.
Yeah.
But if you play, and the research has shown this too, it's an easy trick to do. If you play music that from that person's past, they can even sing because the lyrics and all that are stored in a different place and they're
Really?
activated by the music.
Ooh.
So someone can actually maybe do karaoke if you play the right music
Oh
or you
my
have the
gosh.
lyrics to go along with it.
I didn't think
Yeah.
about that. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah. So the brain works in interesting ways.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. So if you know anybody with dementia or Alzheimer's, just try that and see what happens. And
Interesting. Play music.
yeah, and they'll enjoy it. And of course, you'll feel better about it.
Oh,
Yeah. So cool.
beautiful.
Yeah. Trying to think of anything else I wanted to talk about. So I want to talk about overload. And
Sure.
sometimes it's unavoidable. You just have to do it to be safe and to get from point A to point B, especially if point A to point B isn't something new. And being on the ferry would have been nice because, someone else is driving and you could have just
Yep.
chilled out and watch, enjoyed the ocean. But, this is a different adventure. I got to ask, how old are your kids?
7 and 9.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, they will grow out of that.
I hope so.
They will. Like if you live long
How
enough,
old are your
they will grow.
grandkids?
Well, they're 2.5. They're identical twins.
Oh gosh. Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. They're babies.
Yeah, yeah. They're a lot of fun. And, being the grandpa, I can kind of choose when I'm around. So
Isn't it cool, right?
yeah, their mom, pretty much it's her job. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. So the next thing I wanted to do, if you're up for it, I'm gonna help keep track of time because I know last time we ran over.
Yeah,
We've
that's
only
right.
got
Well, my eyes are closed. That happens.
Yeah. So if you'd like, let's do this. It's going to kind of build on what we've been doing. So what this is about is to get us, because we talked about going back into the past
Okay.
to get a memory you'd like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you can do that. So one of the ways to deal with life is kind of check in and just ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And so if you're not feeling the way you want to, then you have a choice. You can ask, how do I want to feel? So maybe you want to feel calm and relaxed. That's an option. Another thing might be, and I think we talked about this, is you might want to be up, but in a positive way. So if you can imagine being at the Olympics, you can't be too mellow, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to put out maximal
Yeah.
performance, but you want a positive feeling about that maximal. You don't want to have a lot of doubt. You don't want to think
Okay.
about the time you tripped on a hurdle or the time you did something else, like fell off
Okay.
whatever the gymnastics things are. You want to think about a time when you had just an amazing performance, maybe the best performance of your life. And by the time you got to the Olympics, there's going to be a lot of those. So you go back to that memory and you get that feeling.
Okay.
And we get to choose our feelings, just like imagine books in a library. You can pick out a
Okay.
book that's going to be scary and negative and all that. And as humans, lots of times we'll do that. And we play
Okay.
that movie over and over and feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can pick the really positive one when you felt really calm and relaxed. Maybe time you're super successful, but you had a high energy, but positive energy.
Yeah.
So it all starts with assessing, how do I feel right now?
Okay.
And then know that you have the power to choose the way you want to feel.
So I don't have to be stressed.
No, you do have to
Thank you.
focus. So sometimes that exhausts you, right?
Yes.
That's kind of
Yes.
not a choice. Um,
Yes.
but you can be calmer about it.
Uh-huh.
You might think about a time when, okay, I drove through this crazy stuff, but I made it, rather than the time, you got lost in a detour and, your trip got delayed by 2 hours or, you miss your flight. Even if you miss your flight, there's ways to just chill out thinking about things that are positive.
Mm.
So, we do have to end at the bottom of the hour, right?
Yes. 4 more minutes. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So how would you like to feel right now?
I want to feel less stressed
Okay.
and happy. I've been a little stressed and not as happy as normal. As
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
let's go back for just a moment. I know we have a moment, but go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to go back to a memory that maybe the kids were in the car, and for some miracle, they were being very well behaved. Let me know if
Got
you
it.
got a memory like that.
Got it.
Okay, good. So I want you to check it out. So think about the car you were in, and maybe all the details, the color, everything you know about that car. Maybe there was music on. Think about that, kind of experience that.
Yeah.
If the kids were, if there's a conversation going between them or maybe all three of you, just think what that might have been like. I'm sure it was really positive. And just where you're going, what you're driving through, maybe what the destination was. Just think about all those positive things and just kind of breathe it in once you get there.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, notice how you feel.
I feel relaxed. I feel calm. I
Uh-huh.
feel, yeah.
So
Ah,
if you feel really calm, it could rub off on your kids. So if you anticipate a good situation and they notice, hey, God, mom's all calm today, uh, maybe they'll get in that mode.
you're right. I know it starts here with me, and
Uh-huh.
you're right. I think I'm a very high energy, high anxiety type of
Yeah.
person, and
Uh-huh.
it comes off a lot. And
Yeah.
you're right. Kids can sense that and pick up on that.
It's kind of like animals can smell fear, so can kids. Um,
It's
so
true.
and that thing to do, imagine that there's just static, like there's static on the radio or something
Okay.
like that. And you ignore it, right?
Yeah.
You don't take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of maybe get in that place where you can make the noise the kids are making and just think it's static. It doesn't really matter. It's not about you.
Okay.
Just something you can ignore. Does, does that make sense?
Hold on, I'm thinking. Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Okay.
might
I
might be
gotta
a little leap to get there,
try.
but the
Yeah.
more you can think about that as being just noise, ultimately it doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially if it's directed at each other. And then you can you know, just let it be whatever. You guys want to
Yeah.
complain? Go ahead and complain. I'm not listening.
All right.
So,
Now I just have to, is that my conscious, I have my conscious mind has to make me remember to do that. Can I write it down?
yeah. And you could put a little sticker in your car, or just a little um, something in your car to remind you. Like some people might have oh heck, what do they have? Saint somebody to get from a safe. He's about safety. I should know who that is, but I don't remember. So they have a little statue of Saint whatever that's about safety, or they might have, like a Buddha sticker, or they might have something, and they could just look at that for a moment and go, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be calm right now."
You could do that. I gotta get something, gotta write something down, put it on a post-it or something, but
Yeah,
and tape it everywhere.
yes, yeah, the
Well,
refrigerator.
unfortunately, we are out of time, Don.
Yeah,
Always a great conversation. You're always so helpful, so
Well,
kind,
thanks.
and to teach people these certain techniques. And thank you for, and I'm always, I love participating. So thank you.
Cool.
It
Yeah.
helps me understand it better, and I hope our listeners too. And we want to reach out to you. Could you share how?
Yeah. So my my website is flagstaffhypnotherapy.com.
Okay.
And then you can also, once you get there, you can reach out to my email if you like. And then that's just flaghypno at
Right.
gmail.com. And yeah, I'm happy to hear from people. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Same here. Thank you so much. Always a
Oh, you're
pleasure,
welcome.
Don. Have a great day, and we'll
You
connect.
too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.